So for instance, we start with this prosthesis. So this prosthesis essentially has three parts. This is the socket. Then you have the pylon. And third is the foot and ankle assembly. So these are the three parts of this. And each one of them needs to be talked about. So as far as the socket is concerned, if you look at, this is a below-knee prosthesis. It is a below-knee prosthesis because there is no joint here, okay? And if you look at the socket, it is a patellar tendon bearing socket, PTB, which is the most common type of socket which is used in lower extremity prosthetics. Why I am calling it a patellar tendon bearing? Because there is a molding. This is molded, and this is also going up, molded along the tibial condyles, and these days these are being extended proximally to cover the femoral condyle also. And sometimes the patella may also be covered, because when we talk about patellar tendon bearing prosthesis, it is an improvement upon the previous designs which were end bearing prosthesis. You must have seen in older Hindi movies or maybe in the rural setting where the amputee may have improvised a prosthesis where there is a wooden peg and some leather cuff is there. So the stump sits directly onto the peg, practically. So those are end bearing. Now end bearing they have their problems, they create pressure sores, they are painful to wear, they cannot be worn for a long period of time. So the improvement in design came in to improve the stability of the junction of the stump with the socket. Okay. So one of the important considerations is the suspension of the socket, how it is going to anchor to the stump. So initially, even now, sometimes we use some cuffs and belts to anchor. Supposing you want to anchor this in a better way to the lower limb, maybe you can have a cuff around the thigh and some struts which are anchoring it there. But those are usually avoided. They may be given in special conditions, but these days there are special mechanisms. One of them is, as I said, to have what is known as a total surface bearing stump. Total surface bearing stump. Now these stumps are, as I said, they have to extend beyond the tibial condyle. It has to incorporate into the femoral condyle, and the lining material inside is special, silicone based lining. And one of the, you can read about it, these total surface bearing prosthesis. One of them is ICE-ROS, Iceland roll-on silicone stump. This is the full form. This is one of the latest designs which has come in, wherein the silicone is worn like a stocking or something on the stump, and the design of the material is such, it is medical grade silicone, and the purpose of this is that it keeps the skin pulled down. Skin and the muscle, it pulls it down. The design is such, the elasticity is such. And when you put it into the stump pulls it up, because that is the counter pressure of the stump tries to pull it up. So this improves the contact, the overall contact, the distribution of the loading is improved, and that is why it is known as total surface bearing prosthesis. The other modification in these stumps came in with a valve being put somewhere here. A valve, the moment you put the stump inside, the air exits. It's a one-way valve. So it creates a suction type of effect. So these were suction sockets. But as I told you, you should remember that we are moving from patellar tendon bearing to total surface bearing stumps. So this is as much as the stump is concerned. Then we move on to the pylon. So pylon is the replacement of tibia and fibula, essentially. So it is the skeleton. And the pylon type of prostheses are usually given in immediate post-surgical prosthetic fitting, which is an advancement over what was the concept previously, where after amputation you were supposed to wait for the stump to mature. Painstakingly, special types of dressings were done, compressive dressings using crepe bandages and so on, so that the shape of the stump becomes conical, and then the definitive prosthesis would be fitted. That part is still there, but the concept of immediate post-surgical prosthetic fitting came in to give a better psychological result. You see, if the patient has undergone an amputation and from tomorrow he is fitted with the immediate post-surgical prosthetic fitting and he starts walking, it is a tremendous boost to this patient psychologically. So for those type of prostheses, the pylon is a very useful, because he is walking with a prosthesis like this from day one. Later on, the cosmetic part also is taken care of. When the stump has matured, the final type of socket is created, which is matching the architecture of the stump. Along with that, the pylon is covered with cosmetic rubber or whatever material is to be, high density polythene, all sorts of materials are available. So this is the function of the pylon, and later on it can be cosmetically made better. Last, or the most distal most, is the ankle and the foot assembly. So conventionally, if you look at the literature, for a very long time we had the SACH foot. In the Western world, we had SACH foot, which is solid ankle cushioned heel, which means that the ankle part is made of wood, solid ankle. So it's a wood, high density wood. Then as far as the heel and the foot is concerned, it was made of rubber material. Again, the rubber there is high density. It is firmer rubber. This sort of a foot is better or most commonly recommended for ambulation on level ground. Ambulation level ground. Because in the Western world, the roads are pretty good, everything is leveled, and these patients can easily walk on that. But for the Indian subcontinent, this SACH foot, probably it was very expensive also, and it did not address to the socio-economic needs of our population. And what are those socio-economic needs of our population? Special needs. are patients who are coming from rural, semi-urban background. They need to squat, they need to sit cross-legged on the floor. And apart from that, they need to walk on uneven surfaces. And majority of these rural background patients, they walk barefoot. So there are special needs. SACH foot was not working. So that is why in 1968, in Jaipur, Dr. P.K. Sethi, yesterday I think there was some mention about his name. So he and his team of craftsmen, because a lot of hard work went as far as the engineering of this prosthesis was concerned, and it is a labor-intensive prosthesis. But over the years, it has been, the technology has been perfected, the organization is very strong now, and it is, I'm told that this sort of a prosthesis can be fitted within 4 to 5 hours. Right from scratch, if you send a patient there with a mature stump, he can be given a prosthesis the same day, which is amazing. And the cost of the prosthesis is extremely low in comparison to the Western SACH foot type of prosthesis. I am told it is about somewhere between $60 to $80. So dollar is about 100 rupees these days. So 6,000 to 8,000, under 10,000 prosthesis, whereas the other prosthesis would be nothing less than 50, 60,000. That's the, maybe even more. So the difference in the construction is that in this prosthesis, as far as the ankle assembly is concerned, it can be of wood, but the wood is very lightweight wood, which is not as rigid as the one which is in the SACH foot. Or they have also tried to replace it with a harder rubber. But the forefoot assembly or the foot assembly is made of spongy rubber, which has the ability to have some flexibility. And that is why this sort of a prosthesis allows ambulation on uneven surfaces. It allows ambulation, better ambulation, if you are negotiating, you're going uphill or you are going downhill. I told you SACH foot is good for level thing. Anybody who tries to go uphill or downhill, he will, his gait will slow down, he will be uncomfortable. But with this works beautifully on uneven surfaces. The patient can squat for defecation and all, and he can also sit cross-legged. And it is mentioned in literature that there are patients who can even climb a tree. Because again, in the rural setting, farmers and all, they have to do all these things. But besides this point, the other thing is, it is the fascia or the outer covering of this is rubber, again rubber, which is vulcanized in a dye, a special dye. That is why cosmetically it looks like a normal foot. Okay? A normal foot. This does not mean that you can use it only as a bare foot. On this, it can be used as a bare foot if the patient is walking barefoot. But if he is walking, he wants to walk with shoes, just like he wears a shoe on the normal side, he can wear the shoe on this side also.